Welcome back to Life, Biz and All That Jazz. I'm your host, Jasmine Lisciotto. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome along for the ride. If you've come back for more, thank you. Thank you so much for coming back and trusting in me. Today's episode is going to touch your soul. It's going to set your soul on fire. It's a powerful and raw conversation between two people who talk about healing and growth and what it's like to build your life from the bottom up. Whether you're on a sober journey already, or you're questioning your relationship with alcohol, or you need a transformation of your life, this episode is for you. Our guest is someone that I'm really, really excited to bring on, Rick, the incredible human behind the Recovery Club, and he's also an author of the 12 Steps to Freedom, where he's made his own interpretation of the 12 steps. Rick is 8 years sober, and his story is one of strength, resilience, and radical self-honesty. We're going to talk about what addiction looks like behind the scenes, how you can help someone on their sobriety journey, and how sobriety opens up so many doors you probably would have never imagined. If you ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure where to begin, this episode is for you. Welcome, Rick. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
It's good. It's all good.
It's all good, yes. So how's Bali life?
It's good. Today the weather's a bit moody. I was kept up late last night by thunder, but I'm sure if you've been to Bali before, you'll know that sometimes when the rain it hits hard.
Yeah, well, we kind of just finished a wet season here on the Gold Coast. Queensland was pretty bad. We had a cyclone recently, which we've not used to having.
Yeah, I think that hit us first.
Oh, yeah, because
So
it was up the
over
top.
here and came over to you guys, but yeah, for like 3 days it was crazy.
All right, so 8 years sober.
8 years, so
Congratulations.
I can give you the exact time.
Yeah, you got an app?
Yeah, so 8 years, 3 months, 10 days, 21 hours, 54 minutes, 50 seconds.
Oh, I love that.
So long
Yes,
time.
a long time. So yesterday I hit 600 days.
Congratulations.
I know it feels like a lot, but not to compare. But then I see like 8 years and I'm like, it's so inspiring. And I think it's nice to see that and, to have someone that relates. And I think that's really important when you're going through this type of journey, because it is a journey. It's forever. We have to work on this all the time. It's not just something that we can just think that's going to be over. It's a continuous thing. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. And everyone has their own story. So the fact that I'm 8 years is different from a guy that's 1 week or a woman that's 2 years. So yeah, it's all the same. We're all in the same boat here to help one another.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. Because I think the most important thing is it's the step to start. It's the first step to decide, and it doesn't matter how long it is. It's like once you make that decision. I'm obviously like 600 days, right? I was thinking, when do I start saying months? Because I originally was saying months, and this is like a little bit trivial. Maybe it's just the way that I'm thinking about it. But I felt like for me, months, when I was saying months, I just felt like days helped me more at the start, seeing the days, because it was higher, the number, the motivation. Is that just a me thing?
No, I hear it. I was the same at the start. It was 30 days, 3 days, 90 days. Then as the years went by, it became months, it became years. And now for me, it's years. It's a birthday.
Yeah.
It's like the most important day of the year for me.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Way better than Christmas, way better than but it's funny because I always, around the week leading up to it, I always feel different. Not necessarily always good. I go quite reflective week leading up to it, and it's good to do that, but it's hard sometimes.
That's actually really interesting, because I felt like that on Monday and I didn't think about that. I didn't think, I just thought, oh, I had a big week last week, but Monday I just couldn't shake it. I woke up, I just felt like really, really flat. And even when I got up in the morning, you know, I tried to do my morning routine, which usually like changes my mood, but it didn't. So that's actually interesting. So maybe it was more like knowing it was coming and.
Your subconscious knowing it's coming.
Yeah, no,
And for
definitely.
me, I don't recognize it because of it. My subconscious just changes everything.
Yeah, no, 100%. And our subconscious is so much more powerful than our conscious brain. And that's, I think, really does help with the recovery and to be able to keep pushing forward, because we don't realize, and often it's not talked about as much, as how much our subconscious thoughts really affect our conscious thoughts. And what we do when we're conscious relates back to that.
Yeah, 100% agree.
I don't know if I told you I was doing a course on neuroscience.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit of a nerd. It's neuroscience and mental health. And I would do the podcast. And when I was talking about routines or habits or boundaries or certain triggers and stuff like that, I would obviously give my opinion. And this is on some of the earlier episodes. But then I would back it with data, science-backed data.
Data.
Yeah, so I do the research. Pardon?
Data.
Like research.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying
I know you know what you're talking about. I'd back it with the research, because then I'm like, well, I'm telling people my perspective and how I did this, how I built better boundaries, which then really helped my mental health. And then I was doing all this research and I'm like, why don't I do a course for it? So yeah, it's just a grad cert. It's a small one, just a year, 4 subjects, but it talks a lot about neuroscience and like neuroplasticity. And it can be a lot off field for some people to be able to do it. But I think for me, if you do understand that you can rewire your brain in any way, and that also helps, you know, with the support of addiction, and to know that you can have a better life.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like recovery is about rewiring your brain.
Yes.
And there's lots of science about it, and it's just like going to the gym, really. Like, you're treating your mind like a muscle, putting in better habits, better boundaries, and the more you work on them, the stronger they get. Just like the gym.
Yes.
But there's science behind it, but often the problem with people like me and you, we get into recovery, and then we're too self-aware. We want to know everything.
It's like once you take that step, that's it. It's been hard for me, and I guess too recently, and this is kind of why I've decided to do my trip, because I just feel like in this present moment, and it's not that I don't have the support and the love with friendships or anything like that, but I just feel like I'm in a very different mindset and I don't relate to anyone right now. And I have the best friends, and it's nothing to do with them. It's just that where I'm in my journey is a lot different, and not in a negative way, but I just feel like this is like the next thing, like to just go explore. And a part of me then as well is like, is it because my worst times were here where I live now? So people say like moving away from the area, kind of like, you know, you're in Bali now. And do you feel like you wanted to like move on? You moved to Bali. Is that why you wanted to move to Bali, or you just wanted something more exciting? That next step you felt like you needed to?
Yeah. I think ultimately, whenever someone like starts a path of extreme growth, a natural side effect of that is to let go of things in your life. They might be people, places, things, but it's just part of it. There's nothing wrong with it. I think in a way it's a good sign that you are pushing forward.
Yeah. Uncomfortable. You want to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, you're seeking discomfort.
Yeah, just that.
Seeking discomfort is a beautiful thing to do. If you can seek it without using substances or anything to distract your mind, then you're growing all the time.
And I think the whole thought of just like, there is so much life out there. Like I said, when we had a chat the other day, it's like I felt like for 20 years, when I started drinking pretty much from 15, it's kind of like I was just coasting. And now I'm like living. I'm really deep living. And like every single day is like just so different and you're so much more aware.
Yeah, making up for lost time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think for me as well is because my story, like, I came so close to losing it all. And I think that's a lot of people's experience. Really puts life into perspective, and we only have one shot at life. Do I want to spend it working a 9 to 5 in London, paying the bills and not seeing any nature? And I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that life, but it's not me in my core.
No, 100%. Totally understand.
I need to get out there, make memories, and experience life as much as I can.
One of my big goals, future goals when I'm married and kids, is to live in Italy for 6 months of the year in my villa in Tuscany. Because I'm half Italian. Yeah, I'm trying to get my Italian passport now, and then just travel.
Have you got a villa there now?
No, not yet. I look all the time. I'm following all these pages on Facebook. Yeah, no, not there yet, but yeah, one day. 5-10 year plan. All right. Well, why don't we start off with the beginning for you? So go back as far as you want to go back, and the floor is yours.
Okay. So I guess my story with addiction started from day one, really. It's some of my first memories. People might hear me say that and be like, was he drinking and using at like 3 years old? But it wasn't that. It was the feelings of discontentment, not feeling part of this world, struggling to integrate with other humans, and I want to say as well is like, in case people are watching this and have similar stories, like my upbringing was perfect. Like I couldn't ask for any more love of my parents, my sister. I was given what most kids around the world would dream of. I was taken on holidays. We traveled the world, everything. Had a nice house, went to school. But I just still always had these feelings inside of me. Yeah, I mean, school were good years for me. I enjoyed school. I was like a semi-popular kid, I'd say. I was in like a band. But still, like I almost learned to put this like mask on in social situations. So like I was popular with many different people, but I was able to be a different person around. Only looking back now, I saw that. And then yeah, like from about 13, 14, I started smoking weed, drinking, and I was like, wow, this is my medication. But obviously at the time, I didn't think to myself, this is my medication. I just loved the I didn't even see it as this, but I loved the numbness it gave me. It all of a sudden made me feel connected. It took away the feelings of discomfort. I felt fine in social situations. I thought I was even more popular, but maybe I was with the wrong people. From there, like my drinking just excelled. I'd say by the age of 18, I was partying heavy, and even at 18, I knew my drinking was not like the other people. I was occasionally drinking in the mornings to get rid of the fear, because I'm sure anyone listening to this can relate to having a heavy weekend and that Monday morning, the anxiety, the fear is just, it's on you. So yeah, from an early age, I knew that alcohol would take that away from me, and I used it. I was good in the sense that I could hold down jobs. I showed up on time. I worked hard. The drink was just always there. And then I'd say daily drinking started at 18 and then 24. So what's that? 6 years. 6 years of daily drinking. Then early 20s, it became every morning, because I knew I was physically dependent by then. So every morning I'd wake up and I'd have like unbearable shakes. I could barely stand up. I couldn't brush my teeth. I could barely walk. Every morning I would have to drink. And I'd say the last 3 years, so like 21 up to 24, vodka all day long, first thing in the morning, all day till night. And, you know, at this point, like, people started realizing, I mean, obviously, the main ones being my parents and friends. Really, we were young. They saw me as just the crazy one. Nothing, I don't think any serious alarm bells rung in their heads. They just thought, oh, Rick likes to party, likes to drink, and if we're having a party, we'll call him out and get him round. But yeah, I'd say like the last year of my drinking, I didn't really see my friends. My drinking was all alone. I mean, my story is very big. I'm going to try and just touch on like the main points. Basically, the last 2 years I was in, and I went to rehab, relapsed. I think I did 3 hospital detoxes. Every detox I came out, I relapsed. I just couldn't face the world sober. 24 was literally the worst year of my life. I didn't want to live anymore. Like, my existence was waking up, drinking all day just to keep the seizures from happening. And that year became a big blur for me. I don't remember. Yeah, it's just all one big blur of misery. Leading up to Christmas, I was rushed to hospital. I don't know where I was. I don't know who found me. When I got to hospital, I believe I was going into seizures, and they couldn't control them. Usually, us alcoholics, if we're getting detox, they'll pump us full of benzos to keep the seizures away. This wasn't working for me, so they had to put me into a coma. And then, yeah, 3 weeks later, I woke up to a nurse telling me that she didn't think she'd ever see me again, but she said it in such like a calm way, like she sees guys like me all the time. Women like just lose their lives. It was like she was numb to it. I remember that moment in the hospital bed. I was alone. I knew that if I didn't change, like, I wouldn't make my 25th birthday. And the fear and the anxiety, it was insane. It's something I wouldn't wish on anyone. Yeah, and that day was the worst day of my life. That's when I held up my hands. I said to the hospital, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need help. I will do anything. And they got me into a rehab. I was at the rehab in a wheelchair. I was being spoon fed for like the first month. I was having to be bathed by the staff there. My body had just given up, probably from a combination of 2 liters of vodka a day for 5 years, and the fact that I'd been in a coma. I was just finished. I would sit there in group therapy, like, just petrified, like, hearing these guys speak their stories. I related. I couldn't talk. Yeah, as the months went on, I began to open up, speak my truth. And, you know, for once in my life, especially from the young age I thought I was the only one in this universe that was that had a problem with drink. I'd never met anyone or a problem with drugs. I felt like I was carrying this whole thing alone, and all of a sudden I'm meeting a group of people that thought the same way I did the same things as I did. Yeah, and all of a sudden I felt seen. And going back to like when I was 14 and feeling that discomfort and not part of anything, it's almost like fast forward all them years, I'm finally meeting people that shared the same feelings as me. And, you know, like that in itself was motivation to continue to speak my truth. And I'll never forget it. There was one guy in rehab, he was like 60, and he said to me, Rick, 65, I've wasted my whole life fighting this disease of alcoholism. Make sure you don't leave a single stone unturned whilst you're here. Tell him everything. And I don't know, it just hit hard with me, and I did that. I spoke my truth, spoke about my darkest days, my resentments, fears, wrongdoings I did to others. I spoke about it all. That guy actually, sadly, he relapsed. He's now dead. I mean, what he said to me might have saved my life. So yeah, and now 8 years later, here living the life of my dreams. In Bali, all thanks to just speaking my truth, really. But I want people to know as well, like I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic. I will always be an alcoholic. This is not something I take lightly. I can be back in that hospital bed in 2 weeks if I want. So I need to be mindful at all times. And I think over the years, I've built an amazing self-awareness. I can see when behaviors are arising and when behaviors are looking a bit worrying, but I catch them early, I speak about them. And these behaviors can even be like excessive gym use, like small things, but it's about being self-aware and understanding why are you doing this? What are you trying to hide? Are you reflecting from something? And another thing is relationships. How are you treating others? How are you treating yourself? So yeah, self-awareness is key to my journey now and speaking my truth. That's about it, really.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's not easy to relive a lot of stuff like that, especially, going back and talking about it, because, we don't want to keep going back into moments that, aren't positive and happy. But I think it's so important that the way that you see that is like that's your story, but that's not your purpose. Things that have happened to us in the past don't define the people that we are today. Do you agree with that? We still, and like you said as well, it's like you're always going to have that part of you, how to control it. Because that's how I feel. For me. It's like I can't even just have one drink. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. And then it's also like the unhealthy coping mechanisms of other things. I sometimes will drink too much coffee, and where it's not necessarily bad, but like it will just be excessive because I'm like kind of chasing that. Is that a good example?
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I'm addict through and through. Even when I'm doing my washing and it tells me to put 1 scoop of powder in, I put like 10 scoops in it. I'm an addict. Like one is never enough for me.
Yeah.
But I find it funny now.
You got to laugh.
And what you were saying about like your story and stuff. So if someone's listening and they're struggling and they're in the dark times, and I know I speak about my dark times quite easily, but it's because I'm proud of them. I don't look at them days as necessarily bad days. Like I look back and I'm proud of them. Like I have zero regrets. I wouldn't wish what I went through on anyone, but it built me to the person who I am today. And like I am beyond proud of what I've achieved. And like I said to you before, like sometimes as people that we go through this, and it gives us that opportunity to really like look within, do the work. And maybe if I didn't have those dark days, I would never have gotten that opportunity.
I totally agree with that. And I think it's like what will we have just done? Just coast through life, just continue on that cycle where now we've got this awareness, and I think it's so exciting, and that's obviously why we want to share what we share, and we're so passionate about it, because if only you could just tell a lot of other people, like, and that's all we can do is share our story and, you know, hope that people will see that and have that inspiration. Or if you're going through a time right now and, you know, you just feel like there's no ending, that you just got to keep going. You just got to keep going day by day. I think as well, especially for me at the start, you kind of feel like, are you ever going to get there? It seems like quite a long journey.
Yeah, 100%. And like 8 years on, I still have times in my life where I'm down, and I think it's going to be like this forever. But over time, I've proven to myself that pain is only temporary, and you can get through any pain just by talking and being open and pushing through.
And there's always someone there to listen. Sometimes always. I think anyone. Our DMs are always open.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had crazy amount the last 24 hours.
I think that's really good, because you've obviously started the recovery club and you've got your vision, and that's what you're doing. And now you're building that community. I think there's something so special about that.
Yeah, it's inspiring. And like to anyone that has messaged me, or to anyone that has taken that like first step, and I think messages are good for modern day. It makes it a little bit easier to make that first step, you know, sending that one message. But yeah, to whoever has done that, like, I'm proud of you. Like, it's not easy. And over the last 48 hours, I've had loads of people message me, and they're holding their hands up, and they're struggling. They want out, and they're speaking their truth, and that's inspiring.
Yeah, and I think it helps you when I talk to people and they kind of open up. I think you can relate a lot more these days, especially with social media and the ability to be able to share to a wider audience that you might not necessarily be able to share to. There's always a lot of negativity around social media, but if you use it for the power that it is, and building a community and having support and being able to connect with people. So you said before that, you know, you like going to the gym, keeping fit. Is that one of your rituals? What are some kind of habits and rituals that you like to do now to help you stay on track and continue to become your best self?
Yeah, I mean, like, routine at the start was amazing for me. Going to the gym, going back to college, having purpose and achieving it was perfect for me. They're like the true building blocks to regaining self-love, because after years of addiction and stuff, your self-esteem, your self-love is not there. It's part of the puzzle. So creating new daily habits, like going for a walk in the morning, training in the evening, and like even making your bed in the morning. You're doing things for you, you know. I always had a saying: do whatever you can today to make tomorrow easier.
Yes.
And then just keep doing that.
Yeah, it's really important.
Also, like, I found routine was amazing for me, but I almost got stuck in it robotically, and I noticed weeks go by, months go by, days go by, and wondering, like, what have I done? And I've been stuck in this same routine. So as I got stronger, that's when the seeking discomfort started to come in, and I wanted to jump outside of my routine. I wanted to do things that scared me, and yeah, ultimately that just built up my self-confidence, self-love.
Like find tigers?
Find tigers, run around the world chasing tigers.
Tell us that story, because that's a good story. That's a really fun story. It's very different, and yeah, it's inspiring, because I think we need to do that. Like, man, this weekend I'm going to find a tiger. Like, how cool does that sound?
It's one of the first things I ask people when they message me, like, do you have dreams? Because we all have dreams, and like,
yes,
it actually makes me sad to think about how many dreams on this planet don't get achieved because the person is held down by bad habits, addictions, or anything, financial problems. It makes so yeah. From an early age, I've always wanted to see a tiger in real life, and not just like go to the zoo, but like find a tiger. And obviously, when I was drinking, taking drugs, that was just not on the cards. Now in sobriety, I've gone to 2 places to try and find tigers. First one was Sumatra in Indonesia. Spent 2 weeks in the jungle, sleeping on the floor, no phone signal, drinking out of a stream. But the universe didn't gift me with tigers that trip. About 2 months ago, me and my friend, we went to India to try and find a tiger again. And we spent a week in one of their national parks. And we went in every morning, every afternoon. And we got to the last day, no tigers. The sun was setting. I was looking at the time and I was thinking, this is just a sign I need to book another trip to find tigers, but it will happen one day. And then just as I thought that, the mum just walked round the corner. And she was I'd probably say about 20 meters away from me. And
wow.
Then about 5 minutes after that, 3 of her cubs came out around as well. And they just sat there playing, looking at us. And like, yeah, it was beautiful. Like I almost broke into tears because it was one of my dreams coming true.
So it was this
Now it's
that moment.
next adventure.
That's the thing too, you know, it's all about just making a plan and doing the steps to take it. The first time around you didn't find them, and then the second time, and you thought even on that second time, okay, well, I'm going to have to do this again. If you've got dreams, it doesn't necessarily happen first go.
No.
You got to keep trying, but eventually you get there.
Yeah, I want people to understand that, like, for me to get to where I got, like you were saying, it hasn't been overnight. Although, like, I've kept it in the day, like, me back in rehab in that wheelchair, to picture me in India in a bush trying to take a picture of a tiger. Like, back then, I would have told you no. It's not possible. That will never be achievable for me. But one day at a time, keep showing up for myself, doing the right things. I've managed to get to that point.
And I think that's what's so powerful in sharing your story as well. Seeing like where you are now, 8 years, and I'm already 600 days in, but it's just so inspiring if you're out there and you're thinking, okay, I can do this. But then, you know, I'm only at day 1 or day 5. Surround yourself with people and not necessarily in person. I think there's so much support online, especially like what you're doing now with the Recovery Club and the podcast, what everyone is sharing, that there's people out there that you can find for your motivation and your support and to help you through it. Like there's so much options. You've also got your family, I think, to talk to them. And then it's more just one step at a time.
Yeah. And like, I understand the people who can't see it. I've been there. I know how they're feeling.
Yes.
And it's sometimes hard to convey to them that this is achievable, but you just need to just keep it as one day at a time.
I think as well as like what we were saying before, it's like, it doesn't matter where someone is, no numbers. Numbers don't really mean anything. It's all, we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what part of the journey we're on. It's still the same journey, and everyone's just going to look different. And I think if you know, you don't want to hold on to a number. Oh, it's like setting your own goals as well. Like being like, you know, celebrating. I just did a week alcohol free. Celebrate that. Then 2 weeks, like every day, taking it day by day. It's always going to grow. And it's the little moments, and then you get to the bigger moments eventually. But I think for me, the first the first few months, and I know your journey was obviously a lot different. For me, like the first 6 months was probably the hardest. I just felt like I withdrew. I just cried all the time, and I compared a lot of things to a lot of the pain that I was burying from growing up, and different experience to you, as you were saying before. But it was not only giving up alcohol, but it was then dealing with a lot of different emotions that I would have never dealt with, and I would have just kept buried inside me, and building that pressure of my nervous system, which stopped me from being the best person that I wanted to be, and stopped me from really accepting who I was as a person. So it's always, every journey is going to look different.
Yeah, and that's it. Like you said, like putting drinking drugs down is not, it's not easy. Like you feel everything.
Yeah.
Years of hiding. And I truly believe that alcohol and drugs is just a symptom. I don't want to call it a disease too much. I believe the reason to why we use drinking drugs is instilled before the drinking drugs. Drinking drugs is just our medication to the conflict we're having in our mind.
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
And it's self-medicating, but it's a vicious cycle, because once you're in it, it's hard to get out.
And we become dependent on it.
Yeah.
It's the dependency, and it's that escape. You get addicted to the escape it gives you. And when it's not healthy, blackout, and it's just consistent. And then that's the only way that you can feel anything in general, but you're still like, you're blocking that feeling. It's just helping you feel that bit of joy, but then it's only short-lived to help that with that sadness, but then it makes you more sad, because I was the most depressed when I drank. Now I've, you can't get rid of everything, but it makes things easier. Let's have a chat about the Recovery Club. So tell us why you've created it, and your vision for it, and what your plans are.
Right. So, I mean, for years now, I've been helping people, family, friends of friends. People have seen my journey, and they if someone's struggling, I think they come to me and ask for help. Yeah, I wanted to take it to just a bigger level, really, because I know Australia is similar, but England it's a massive issue. I know so many people that struggle with alcohol and drug problems. Yeah, it might not be to the extent of mine, but it's holding them back in life. And like, I just wanted to share my experience, and I wrote a book. It's my experience, but it's also an action book. Like, so in rehab, I went through the 12 steps, which I'm sure many people have heard about. And yeah, I think they're fundamentally a part of my story, and a big part of why I'm still alive today. Are they everyone's route to sobriety? No. I think there's other ways to get there. When I broke down the 12 steps and rewrote them in a way that I thought was more relatable to everyday people, they're just principles that every good human should be living by. And that really is what recovery is about. It's about being the best person for you, a person that does things. And like, in 12 steps, we need to unveil all our madness, all our wrongdoings, all our resentments. And that in itself is a very self-loving thing to do, because I personally don't think anyone should be carrying that pain alone, regardless of the dark things you've done. I would say 90% of us are good people. Even more than that, I'd say 99% of us are good people. We've just had experiences, and we've had things that have sent us down this path, and maybe we have done actions that have hurt others, but I really don't think for many it comes from a bad place. more the fact that they're trapped and stuck within themselves. So yeah, my book is just an action book taking people through the 12 steps. So it's a lot of writing, which I think people should do. I should even do more of it today. So a lot of writing, and alongside my book, I've built the Telegram community, and we're small at the moment. Yesterday I went on there and there was like the first engagement.
Oh, that's awesome.
A guy from America welcomed himself, told the group his problems, and then a guy from England was then being supportive and helping him. And they were having without me having to do anything. And this is why I built it. The long goal is for a platform that people can almost do the 12 steps, do the exercises that I write in my book and share them with others. Because I truly think if you're an alcoholic as severe as me, you can't move forward until you've shared your truth. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about that teacher that shamed you in front of the whole class when you was 6 years old, and you've always looked back at him and thought, why did he do that to me? I want people to share everything. Like I said earlier on, like the guy said to me, don't leave any stone unturned. And then yeah, as you go through the 12 steps, the end of it is 11 and 12 is basically like how I live my life today. Self-awareness, really. Reflect on your day. How could I have been better? Is there anything I should have I behaved in a way that's not concerning, but not aligned with where I want to go? And then the last step is carrying on your message. And that's what I'm trying to do with the Recovery Club.
Yeah, and that brings us to now.
Yeah, and the Instagram's gone crazy. And like I said before, whoever's listening to this and who has reached out to me personally, like I'm beyond proud. You are seen, you are heard, you are loved.
Yeah, I love that. I saw what you were sharing and I automatically felt seen from your content. And it's, it's not easy to be able to find stuff, especially when there's just so much stuff online. And this is what I was saying before about like the positivity of it, and to make someone feel like that through like a post, it's very powerful. And I think you're using it in a very powerful way. And like you said, again, it's, the 12th step is to help other people. And if we weren't doing what we're doing and sharing, the story and the support, it's kind of like the more that people can do that and show how far they've come, where they are right now, it's just going to cascade on. That's how I feel about it. Yeah.
And I want everyone listening as well, because like I know many people they're often put off by the 12 steps or the idea of meetings and stuff because of the religious ties. My book is not written. Personally, I'm not a religious person, but all I'm asking is people to find faith. Faith does not have to be a god. It doesn't have to be a thing. Just faith that your thinking maybe hasn't led you to the best place. So maybe it's time that I handed over my thinking in faith to someone else or a collective group of people that can hopefully guide me to a better place.
Yeah.
And that is faith alone. And I speak about higher power. I know some spiritual people, they have their own higher power. I know religious people, they obviously have their higher power. But for those who aren't spiritual and aren't religious, then just look as a collective group of people sharing their truth.
Yes.
That is a higher power.
I think before what you said about having faith as well, it's not necessarily just having faith in yourself, but having faith in other people that have done the work to help you, to guide you. I think that there's a lot of power in that as well, because, having faith in someone else, it inspires you when you can see that feeling?
My story is pretty drastic, but like I want people to know that like if it wasn't for other people, I would be dead today. Like my thinking led me to a hospital bed fighting for my life, and people that have walked this path before me stepped in and gave me my life back. I had to give him faith. I had to believe that it was possible and listen. And I know for many, like getting to this point can be hard, and it can take some real dark days to get there. But if you're listening, I want you to know that, like, yeah, faith is needed.
Yes. And the support's always there. What would you say to someone if they like listening now and they're thinking about, taking the first step? What would be your advice to someone? They're listening and they feeling inspired, and they know, they've known for a while that they need to change and they need to do something about it. And, they're wanting to, start their journey of sobriety.
I think if anyone's listening and they are struggling, I think one of the main first steps is to reach out to someone. I think we all know the good people in our lives.
Yes.
But when we're in our dark days, we seem to attach ourselves to the not so good people. But if you know the good people in your life, then reach out to them.
Yeah.
And like I said before, it could be just a message. You could ask to go for a walk, but yeah, speak your truth. Tell them you're struggling. Tell them that you wanna make a change, and will that person be there for them?
And it's always the first conversation. It seems like it's going to be the hardest, and it's just that feeling to admit that you've got a problem, that you want to change. And once you do have that conversation, it just feels like a whole weight's lifted. Your situation, you were in hospital for a few weeks, but once you got to a point where you knew that something needed to change and you wanted to change, did you feel like that when you really didn't feel like you had just stopped drinking, but you actually felt like you started healing, like that next step?
I wrote about this in my book as well. Like many find the first step, which is the first step in my book, admitting that we have a problem, the hardest. For me, it wasn't so hard. I was lying there fighting for my life. For me, I was like, I'm finished.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening to this and they're on the fence about whether it's a problem or not, I think if drinking drugs is affecting relationships, not just with others, but with yourself, if it's having a detrimental effect on how you feel about yourself, if it's negatively affecting work, then you've got a problem. Yeah.
If it's stopping you from your goals, and you know that you constantly put in the alcohol before doing things that you would enjoy, there's so much, areas that it can be affecting.
I think that falls under the self-love, really, because like if you're neglecting your goals and you're neglecting the things that make you happy for a drink, then ultimately you're neglecting yourself, and that's where the issue lies. I know everyone's different, and seeing it is harder. Some people it's more like it's more there, others it's more subtle. Like I often say, like I am grateful for nearly losing my life, because it gave me that that realization that something needed to change.
I know your story. You, like you said, you almost lost your life, and I think everyone's story is going to be different. But I think what is inspiring about is you're here to tell your story, and it can get that bad for anybody. What would you tell someone now that, how would you explain how it can get, how bad it can get. Like, I know you've already obviously said you had to be put in a coma for 3 weeks. Like, it's very serious. But I think often when you're in it, and it doesn't matter how bad it is, you might not think your drinking is a problem, but then it escalates. And I think where I got to, I maybe just got myself at the right time, that it didn't start to become worse. It was already bad. It was already daily, but it was in the mornings, but it was, and I got so good at masking as well. Like what we talked about is nobody really knew. And it was always kind of like a joke in a way. Like people would just think of me as like the wild Jasmine. And like my family would be like embarrassed and joke about it, but not actually be like, all right, this is it. It really got to a point where I was like hiding a lot of it.
Yeah, lots of lies.
Yeah. How would you tell someone that doesn't think it's kind of as bad as what it can get to?
I mean, addiction is no joke. Like it's life or death, really. If you're an extreme user or extreme drinker, you will ultimately lose your life quicker. If you're a more subtle, it will take longer. But yeah, it's life and death. Over the 8 years of sobriety, I've lost more than I can count on my hands.
Yeah.
And these are all young, not all, some of them were older guys, but I'd say over 5 of them were young people. I lost a friend. He actually passed about 2 months ago. I only found out about his passing 2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
This man, he was a beautiful man. He was there from day one for me. We stayed up every night talking about our struggles at rehab. Without the drink and drugs in his life, he was the most amazing person. And as I said to you before, I see this often. Addicts, usually without substances, are very compassionate, beautiful, loving people. And then, yeah, he lost his battle about 2 months ago to addiction. They found him in his flat alone, overdosed. And it's mad because like this guy was the reason I'm here today, and I am so grateful. I love him. It saddens me that I can talk about it casually, but the reality is I'm just so used to people losing their life to addiction. It's happened so many times to me. I remember at the start I started to get resentful over it. I don't understand why I was feeling resentful. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, addiction is life or death. Can either happen quick or it can happen further down the line, but that's the reality. The disease, but yeah, I don't like calling it, I mean, I think it is a disease. I think disease comes from the Roman of dis-ease. You know, like ease.
Yeah.
And this is why I said at the start of the video I was an addict from day one, because from a little kid I suffered with dis-ease. I had a dis-ease me. I didn't feel, and the alcohol and the drugs is just a medication we use to fill up that dis-ease that we live with.
Made you not think about not being able to be there, or like it made you feel like you could handle social situations or just life, made life easier to deal with and less, it had to think less. So for anyone listening that wants to support a friend or a family member in like however they can, the best that they can, what advice would you give them?
I'd say ultimately their well-being and their self-worth, their self-love should always come first. Loving an addict is a painful thing to go through. I can't speak of my own feelings of it, but I can speak of it through my family's eyes. Like, they lived probably 5 or 6 years of their life wondering if their son would wake up alive the next day. And I think only now, 8 years on, I'm really like starting to realize like the damage I left behind is something they will never probably ever heal from. They probably still lie there worrying about me because they know that that was my reality one day, and it could be my reality again in the future. I never say to people like the rest of my life I'm gonna remain sober. That's my goal, but I don't know. So yeah, one day at a time. But for family who loves an addict, ultimately, yeah, put your self worth, your love for yourself first, and firm boundaries. I think love can also be detrimental to an addict or alcoholic because it can start to fall into the enabling and an addict, they have no self-love, they have no self-worth, and unless they still have a loving family behind them. They might have a girlfriend or a boyfriend who loves them dearly, but they will always hold on to that love of I'm still worth something in this life, you know. Mm-hmm. I think that can enable them in a sense because whenever something goes bad or they're in a bad place, they rely on that worth, that love that they have from others. So boundary wise, if you love an addict, don't. And I know this is easier said than done, but don't be afraid to push them away. Ultimately, it could be the best thing for them. Mm. When they're left with that, what they perceive as rejection, or they don't have that worth or that love to fall back on, and it can push them to make that change quicker. But yeah, it's a very complex situation.
Yes, it is, and everyone's situation is going to look different.
Because you want to be there, you love them, you want, but you need to be careful that you're not there for them in an enabling way. So yeah, self-love and firm boundaries, and you need to show them that you have self-love as well. And if your boundaries are crossed, then there's a consequence. But love usually makes people don't do the consequence. Give them another chance, another chance, another chance, another chance, another chance, and ultimately, yeah, you think you love them, but you're causing more harm. Yeah, very powerful. Very powerful. It's hard for me to say that, but sometimes it's the truth that sets people free in a way. Addiction is a family disease. Everyone around that person suffers. Yeah. Every single person suffers. Not only is the addict in denial, the loved ones are in denial as well. They'll hold on to a fake reality of what is happening because the pain for them is too much. But they're not addicts. They don't use alcohol or drugs to escape from the reality of that pain. So they escape the pain by living in denial, and they turn blind eyes to things. And it's sad. What's next for you and your journey? I never know. That's okay. That's a good answer. I feel very similar. No, it's the unknown. Well, for me, it's sell all my stuff and then that's next step, buy a van. I don't know where I'm going to live in 12 months. Could be in WA, could be in Darwin. It's kind of like I heard this quote years ago, and it said, "It feels good to be lost in the right direction." Yes, yeah. And also, I think as well is if it's scary is obviously growth. Discomfort is growth. Yeah. And lost is growth. Yes. Not knowing and not needing to know and removing that control, because having too much control over things, it's too structured. What you said before about the routine, just doing the day thing, it's like Groundhog Day over and over again. And yeah, the unknown. And ultimately, I think if you are in an unknown, lost stage of your life, 9 times out of 10, it means something good is around the corner.
Yes. Yeah. You always feel that discomfort before that next stage of growth, or that new beginning, that next step. And it's, if you've never experienced that before, it can be quite scary. So that's why, obviously, sharing our perspective, it's just trying to share our story, and it's been great. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, before we wrap things up, what's one word that would describe your life and journey before sobriety?
Before sobriety, just fear.
Fear. Mine was underachieving. So very different, obviously. But again, that's why everyone's journey is going to look different. And no matter what, it's
I think they're quite similar.
just in a different way. Underachieving, fear. What about now? What's one word for now?
I want to say peace, but my life ain't peaceful all the time. I don't want to paint this image that I made is so far, and I live a life of bliss and happiness every day, because I'm still a human. But majority, I would say peace.
Yeah, it's your peace. Peace can look different for everybody. Calm.
Yeah.
Oh, calm's good. Mine's consistent.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a good trait.
Because even though I like the not knowing, but I feel like I'm at a level, and for me it's probably more my mental health is consistent, which then that flows everywhere. That flows around to all of my life. That was always the hardest thing before, was struggling with that, but then, not knowing what to do. Do you have a quote for someone that might need some motivation? Quote that you live by?
Let me check. I've been writing loads recently.
Yeah, cool.
I'll give you an original.
Love this.
Your future is too bright to be dimmed by old habits.
Love that. Love that. Mine's progress, not perfection. That's something that I kind of, helps me get through.
I'm a perfectionist. It's a downfall of mine as well.
Yeah, that's similar to me, but that's why I have to say it. I've got a sticker down on my mirror downstairs and a sticker on my mirror in my room. And for me, it was always trying to be perfect. And I've always been like that. But then now it's kind of like removing that and accepting that progress is still okay. Everything doesn't need to be perfect straight away. Like, you can get to that, but it's more just the slow steps to get to perfection. Do you have any songs? Do you have any songs that helped you? Or like motivational songs? Because I've got one that I like.
I had one song in rehab. Yeah.
What we'll do is let me know, and then we'll put it in the show notes when you find it. That's okay, because it's that was that was 8 years ago, so a long time ago. That's okay. For me, it's less. I've got one that I really loved. My best friend Amy shared it with me, and it's called "Flowers" by Samantha Ebert, and that was really good when I was going through it all, because it's about like flowers are planted at the bottom of the valley, but then like you're in the trenches, and then the flowers grow, and then like you look down at the valley and it's full of flowers and you're at the top of the mountain. That was one when I was right in there. Yeah, it was real. I had it on repeat. I'd just cry. Like whenever I'd hear it, I just let it all out. And at the time I just thought, what was it? Like, what am I going through? And I'd put it back on again because I'd cry and I just feel everything come out, and it was good. But now my favorite song is I Made It by Tones and I. And do you know Tones and I? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, Aussie girl. Yeah, you'd know it. I think you'd know some of her songs.
Aussie,
yeah, all of it. I'm like, she's just like me. All her songs, I relate to all her songs, but that one's really good. Like, I made it through.
Nice. I'll listen to both of them.
Yeah.
I think it's good to listen to I listen to sad music now, and I think if some people heard my playlist sometimes they'd be like, bro, is this guy okay? But I see it as a blessing to feel nowadays.
Yeah.
Because if I can listen to a song and feel emotional about it, I can feel.
Because when you've gone so long without feeling, you really appreciate it. That's one of the hardest things, is not wanting to feel. But when you feel, you realize how beautiful life is.
Yeah. So if you catch me driving around Bali on my scooter, smiling like a madman, I'm listening to my crying playlist in the background.
Just having thoughts about all the people.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Driving through Bali. I love it. Well, thank you again for your time today. What I'm going to do for everyone is I'm going to link Rick's Instagram and the book, your book, 12 Steps to Freedom, in the show notes, or if you can go check him out on his Instagram. And yeah, anything else you want
to... Feel free to drop me a message. I get back to every single person that sends me a message. So yeah. And last thing I would say is just start trying to love yourself. Do the little thing. Even if you're bad right now, just start practicing little things of self-love, because ultimately self-love is the key to all of this.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And not in an arrogant way. I hope people don't see me as arrogant, but I have a lot of self-love today.
Yeah.
And you can have self-love and not be arrogant.
Yes. And I think once you understand that, when you see people share it that way, you look at it so differently, because I felt similar. I felt like, how can I express the way that I feel without coming across as, but you just got to do it. Like you said, it's just once you find that in yourself, and it's having that and understanding how important you are.
Yeah. It is truly what I feel like is the key to everything in life.
Yeah.
Yourself comes first, always.
Yeah, and the respect, having that respect for yourself.
It will spill out onto everything in your life. You'll be able to have better friendship, better relationships with your family, better romantic relationships, all by working on yourself and your self-love.
Yeah, it flows.
Without that, it's near impossible to form good relationship with others. When you have that self-love, you'll radiate it, and people will be attracted to you. They'll want to be around you, and the right people. The bad people, they want to stay away from you, which is win-win.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's why at the start it can kind of feel a little bit lonely. You can feel like you're alone because the life that you built was around the wrong people and, the wrong habits.
And it can also feel selfish.
Yeah, like you're letting people down.
If it is perceived selfish, then that's not your problem, it's the other's problem. But it is way more selfless to work on yourself and then be able to show up for others, than selfish. Selfish is just a thought your mind might be trying to use to distract you from looking with it.
Yeah. And I think with our brains as well, is we're born to default. Our brains are made to default to the negative, always. We come from hunters and gatherers, and our purpose back then was to hunt, or to look up, it was that fight or flight kind of mechanism. And our brain doesn't change. We still always default to the negative, but it's fighting that thought and bringing it back, and knowing that our brain wants to keep us safe in a way. All right. Well, thanks again for your time today. Really appreciate it. You've got a very inspiring story. I can already see to the future, how many people that you're going to continue to help and sharing your story. You don't realize how powerful it is. If anyone out there's listening, you know, can reach out to either of us at any time. Always open, and it's always just taking that first step. I think that's the most important one, and that's going to be the hardest, but it's once you do it, you'll look back one day and just see how far you've come.
One conversation can change our whole life.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you.